Everybody, this is Rick and PWZ. I'm very happy to have this guy here today. It's been a long time coming, almost probably a year since I've wanted to get you on, but I'm very glad you finally hit me up. So, Showtime, Marcel Williams, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Fantastic, fantastic. So, first I want to get into, let's talk about a little bit of wrestling. How did you get into professional wrestling and sparked your interest in becoming a professional wrestler?
Well, I got interested in wrestling by my grandfather. My grandfather introduced me to wrestling at like 3 years old, watching WrestleMania 3, and I fell in love since then. I watched every decade from the 80s to 90s on to the millennium and even to now. And, I fell in love with it. I always wanted to do it. And then fast forward to 07, I found Paul Roma School, which was in Bridgeport at the time. And,
okay.
That's how I got broken into like the business of like the bumps and doing pay and dues, and that's how that started.
Did you take to it right away?
I did. It's crazy because I watched Tough Enough back in the day. I watched when it first started, and that's where everybody started getting pulled into the business. Like, oh, you got to take this bump, and whether you want to do it or not. And the first day was crazy because when I went there, Roma told me to take the bump, and I took the bump, and I'm like, it kind of hurt. I was like, I think I love it. So it's like, that's the first. That's whether you know you want to do it or not. You do that first bump, that's either you gonna do it or you're not. Either you built for it or you're not. So when I took it, and then you had to do Hindu squat, and I think he had to do like 100, and my legs was all wobbly like a noodle. I'm like, do I really want to do this? And then I was like, yeah, I'll be back. So I guess he had that look like this dude ain't coming back. So I came back, and then I started learning from there.
That was 2007, you said?
2007. Yeah.
That's what, 13 years ago? 12 years ago? Something to that effect?
How about I rewind that? My first match was in 2007. I actually got introduced to school in 2005.
Okay.
And then my first match was in 07. That's why I was asking me, like, oh, 07? Yeah, 07 was the first match. I got introduced into school in 05.
Now, was that actually Paradise Alley at the time, or was it Power and Glory?
It was, you know yourself, it was Power and Glory.
I remember him running the Power and Glory promotion. I remember there being a TV show, too, briefly. I remember.
He wasn't even running it. It was actually Lou DeVito. It was Lou and DeVito. I think they actually do the filming stuff for NEW.
Okay.
Running the promotion actually, and they started from a garage and then started blooming. It's so crazy, like PAPW, like they're in the garage now, but it started blooming along the way where people started talking, and then PGW started, bringing in all these people like Mario and Cookie Tucker, and
I remember him. Yeah.
With the Battle Brothers and all them stuff. Yeah, because when I started, Chris Battle and Anthony Battle and Brian Anthony, they was like probably like a year or 6 months in.
Mm-hmm.
I started when I was a rookie, and they was like the vets already in school. So I was Lucas Sharp came right after I came out.
Tell me about those. Some of those guys are still around today. Tell me a little bit more about those days, because it's like, honestly, I was around. It's kind of like the tail end of when I stopped going to shows, like for a little while, for like a couple of years. But there is a lot I still remember. Were you guys associated with CCW at all at the time when Paul was associated with them?
Well, when I started, it was crazy. That's how I found the wrestling ad. It was like conjunction with CCW. And I went to the first show that Roma produced, which was Brian Anthony's debut under the Roma umbrella. And that was my first independent show, actually. So I was like, oh, this is cool, like an indie show. Like, I just didn't know this happened. You're so used to watching like WWE and WCW at the time, you're like, oh, well, that's the end all be all. But then you look at the indies, that's the underground town. You're like, oh, okay, these are the guys that really that put in the work to try to get to that big time. So yeah, I got introduced to the indies at that time. But yeah,
It's a whole nother. The independent circuit's like a whole nother world. It's like its own scene, and I've always said it's the backbone of the industry. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, and I've always loved. Once I discovered independent wrestling in 1995-ish, it was like a whole different. Like I said, it was a whole different world, and I fell in love with independent wrestling as opposed to watching. I mean, I still watched WWF at the time and WCW, but I really always went to as many indie shows as I can in the area because it was so much fun, and there was just something different about it, a different feel. You know what I
mean? And at the time when this was like later on, but like I think like 09 and like 2010, that's when I started like seeing like people like Anthony Green when they started out, when they was like starting out being referees and stuff, and like the guys now, so you're like, oh yeah, I remember this guy or whatever. So it's like you see the who's who that can make it and want to make this, the career,
Right.
But Brian Anthony as well, like I see him now, it's like, yeah, like time is going by so, and he looks great. He was great, and Battle and all them, they doing the NEW thing, and it's just time is taking over and making people look good,
Right. It's a lot of fun. So you've actually worked. I have here. You worked an Evolve show, and that was part of you guys. Paradise Alley teamed up with Evolve for a show. You teamed up with Ty Shine against the House of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about this because I want to ask. Talk about this a little bit because I want to ask you something else related to the House of Pain shortly after. What was it like working this match? I mean, it was a really good match.
I'm glad you enjoyed the match. The show, I mean, it was a conjunction show with PAPW. I felt it was great exposure for the company as a whole because Evolve was it was hot at the time, and then for them to bring in like now WWE superstars. Now you got Matt Riddle that was on the card. You had Who's Who. You had I forgot the other guy name. Just that quick. You had Matt Riddle. You had
Wasn't Darby Allin on that show?
Yeah, you had a lot of who's who on that card. That was that same card, so that was a really big deal for us. So don't know what happened why we didn't continue doing it, but that was a real big deal. But I enjoyed that match, and I enjoyed the environment that they brought to our company.
It looked like it was a fun show. I mean, just the matches I watched. Now I didn't know this. I know that you had wrestled Matthias a few times, but I found a nice, probably researching you, that you wrestled him about a good 5 to 6 or so times just on bigger events from, I believe it was the Intercontinental title, right? Correct? And beat you for the world title, the Paradise Alley world title. So which I thought was a really good match. Tell me what you think about that match, about working with Matthias. I think he's a really good worker. And you seem to just be put together with him because you guys have good chemistry.
We just got a history. We got a history way beyond wrestling. I was playing with him way before wrestling. I remember when he first started, and he was playing under Michael Rickwood. And it's funny because me, him, and Vlad are connected all together. So like we're friends. Kind of things, yeah. But he was like, I felt like he had the look and got the mentality in his mind to like put a story together in the ring, and I felt like we have chemistry that way. But I appreciate hearing that from you because like some people do say that, like, oh, you and Matthias got chemistry when y'all get in the ring, like. And we had a few matches. I know a lot of people talk about the ladder match that we had. And
I watched that one. That's the one that I watched today. I thought it was really good. So.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. It's like I said, I thought you guys had a really good chemistry, and it was just I didn't realize you guys wrestled each other so many times. I started coming around, I think, like early 2019, or maybe it was later 2018. So I did.
Hey everyone, this is the illustrious Mr. Trivia for the Top Rope Report, letting you all know that tonight, 6:30 p.m., join Mr. Trivia and the Noster Greg as we do our Monday Night Raw and NXT recap. Join us live on Facebook, 6:30 p.m., along with TalkShoe.com, Anchor, Google Podcast, and Spotify. The Top Rope Report live, 6:30 p.m., Facebook Live. Don't you dare miss it.
So you actually, from what I gather, you defeated Richard Holiday for that title. What was it like winning the title? Am I correct in my history?
Nah, you can't say history. That was a very big deal for me because everybody wants to be like the main champion in their company. So it was funny because I was like, they was like, oh well, we're gonna give you this run, and I'm like, okay. Like, I always thought like I'd be good enough just to have like a mid card somewhere, but like when they was like, nah, we're gonna give you this little run, I was like, okay, well, hopefully I do good, you know. And then I did the big deal with Holiday or whatever, and I went forward with it. I enjoyed it. It was a real big deal for me, especially at that time. Holiday was like kind of like moving forward to doing bigger things, so that was a big deal. Like pass it on to me to like take the company forward. So yeah, it was a big deal for me. I enjoyed it.
You think you're going to be going back toward going for the title anytime soon? Maybe another match against Matthias?
I don't know. Should I? You should let me know.
Well, why not? Why not? I mean, you guys, like I said, you guys have the history, and you guys have a good chemistry together. I think that I'd like to see another match.
You know, it's just like I'm about to ask you later on about the like what I said the last time. It was like,
oh, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
So, I do want to ask you, how did the Tri-State Kings form? You and your little faction with the House of Pain. My buddies, the House of Pain.
It formed where, you know, House of Pain wasn't being appreciated, and I felt the same way as myself, company itself. And just as a business as a whole, we didn't feel appreciated for our talents and how we bring forward the company as a whole, which is PAPW. And we just formed it we just formed it as a group to prove everybody wrong that we're the main bill. And you know, Tri-State Kings, it's funny because people ask every once in a while, like, what's going on with Tri-State Kings? What's the deal? I'm like, nothing, we still cool. It's just like I do my thing and they do their thing. So, you know, just, how did you like Tri-State Kings?
I thought it was awesome, dude. I tell you, like, they're one of my favorite tag teams, like, on the circuit. Like, seriously. I've said that many times, that those guys, and I always kind of like rallying for them to go get a shot at the NWA. You know what I mean? I was on Twitter every day while Billy Corgan was tweeting that he wanted talent for the NWA, and I kept jumping in saying, check out these guys. Maybe one.
Yeah, I know that's when, you know, Billy Corgan was trying to get more talent. Yeah, I think you pushing it, Ref Bill pushing it, and like, yeah.
Ref Bill. I also said Ref Bill should take a trip down to Georgia as well and be part of the NWA.
Good.
Yeah, he's great. Where else do I have to say here? All right, we're getting towards modern stuff. If you want to get towards more modern stuff, so your team. All right, actually, I want to go somewhere before. Basically, during the pandemic, the last year, you spent a lot of time kind of away, not necessarily in action. Not that there was a lot of shows going on. The shows that Paradise Alley did run weren't in action. So what were you doing during that time? Just staying fresh. Besides working, were you working behind the scenes?
I was working behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I wasn't sure what was going on, and then you popped up. What was it? When Flash was getting attacked by Battle Academy. Tell me about this, because I think that this is honestly the best storyline going on in Paradise Alley right now, or best angle going on. The whole Battle Academy angle, and you popped up, you know, the music hit, the lights went out, and you came out to save Flash Waller from getting attacked.
Yeah, the storyline as a whole is real entertaining. Chris Battle, he don't like Flash because he moved forward and got better, and he decided to gather up his own rookies to destroy the rookies that was there in PAPW. So the story's there, but it just got to the point where he's doing his thing, and the Haven trying to do their thing, try to regain the tag titles, and Flash is by himself. So I just took upon myself to help him out.
But a lot of people thought it might. A lot of people thought it might have been a ruse, knowing your history.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting messages.
It didn't turn out that way.
It didn't turn out that way. I was waiting. I was like, "Wow, I think I'm like hurt." Nah, dude. Like, I got mad respect for Flash. He really carried the ball wide the whole pandemic because they're pandemic era now. So it's like, it just he kept it kind of, it was in hiding,
Right. I basically, last time I think Matt DeCourt was on, he was saying that during the whole pandemic, Flash is basically, he's been the number one guy in the company. You know what I mean? Basically just going forward. And the guy's really talented. I'm not going to, he's very exciting to watch. Maybe does a little crazy things jumping off the top of that bathroom area, which kind of scared the crap out of me because, So basically, after that match, you made the announcement that you were thinking about retiring. And then attacked by Vlad. What's going on with this? Are you coming? But I also see you're. Are you coming into the Rumble in Paradise? Excuse me.
I may come to Rumble in Paradise. I may not. I may do a little cameo, but Vlad may change my mind because he decided going business for himself and attack. I don't know how he. That matter like I know how he knew I was there. I was advertised to be there, but it's just, it just. I guess I'm the new target now. Like it's not Matthias no more. It's me. Like I said, I guess it's our history of all three of us. He decides he want to show his face and everything. So I guess now I'm just going to do what I need to do to take care of Vlad, I guess, before I decide to step away.
I do want to ask you that, were you really thinking about retiring, to be honest with you?
No, honestly, I really was because I like doing the behind the scenes stuff. So, it's just like, I don't mind taking the bump, but then, it's about longevity too.
Right.
So, and then we had so many opportunities. There's more opportunities out there now, really, than the past. The past, there really wasn't that much opportunity. They had like certain looks at certain talent. There's more opportunities ever now, but the body just ain't taking the bumps like it used to no more. Maybe it's because of the pandemic. I don't know what it is, but I have fun doing behind the scenes stuff.
I'll be honest with you, it is my favorite show to go watch, and I always look forward to it. And when I'm not in town or when something happens, I was away for the last show. My son had a basketball tournament, so I was in New Jersey. So I did back at the hotel watch it on my tablet though, so I was kind of excited. I was able. At least you guys are streaming stuff now because you guys. I don't think you always stream stuff, so I think if I missed an event, I just missed an event. I would find out from somebody else. But we guys utilizing either the Twitch or the Facebook to reach out to the fans too. Yeah,
I noticed that PAPW as a whole, they're trying to gain new audience through social media. At first they was doing the Facebook Live thing, and then it didn't look too right, and then we tried to do Twitch, and now we went back to Facebook Live because we figured out that we was getting more viewers through Facebook Live.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's a big announcement coming up soon with PAPW going forward. And so yeah, I just how you like the product as a whole?
Me, I love it, honestly. I look forward to going to every show. Honestly, it's like when you're on Facebook and as the events pop up, I automatically click going. I already make sure that I don't have anything to do. Make sure we're gonna actually be in town. You know what I mean? It's funny because it's like I'll be like, "Hey, are we going to be in town?" Because I really want to go to the, So it's like I make the majority of them the events. I gotta say, it's like one of my favorite products out there as far as wrestling goes right now. I don't watch a lot of mainstream wrestling these days.
Yeah,
I'm kind of bored with it. to be honest. That's why right now I'm not sitting here watching Hell in a Cell. I'm sitting here talking to you because I appreciate independent wrestling, the alternative. I've gotten, like I said, bored with it. So I look forward to going to things like that.
Well, as I know it, PAPW is just trying to like be that alternative. We ain't trying to like be NEW, that, but we just try to be our own brand where you enjoy it. I want you to we want you to enjoy it from 7 p.m. when you come into the door to 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and would you pay your $20 or your 10 or your 30? We want you to make sure you got your money worth. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's how the company is being run right now. We just want to make sure you get your money you're investing. So
bringing up NEW, it's just like they've also been around for like 25 years or something like that. They've kind of made their mark from being around so long and doing whatever they do. I haven't been to one of their shows in probably 5 years or whatever. But I mean, not that they don't put on pretty quality family, friendly shows, but going to a Paradise Alley show, in a room, say like the facility, the training center, there's only a few rows. You're right up front. You know what I mean? There's not a bad seat in the house. You can go outside. Everybody's standing outside. You kind of get to chat with everybody, with the talents and stuff like that. And that's a very important part in independent wrestling to me. Because, it's just like, it's really good for the fans. You know what I mean? It gives them a whole nother view on the product.
Yeah, I fully agree. It gets you emotionally invested in the talent that's involved too. That then just coming in, they pay that dollar and I'll sign your autograph and go home. We all set. Nah, we want you to be invested. We want you during intermission to like talk to talent, get invested in talent, be on podcasts with you or with other people just to get noticed and help out each other. I'm just glad it does that, not only to you but other fans, because I hear good things as well.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, there's guys like Top Rope Report, Trivia and Nugster that are always at a lot of the shows, and then Don Kincaid, obviously, with Kincaid Files. He's all over the place, that guy. So he's very good for the independent scene. If it wasn't for him, I actually wouldn't have started my podcast. He helped me out greatly finding the record button in Skype. He helped me out a lot. Honestly, it's like he influenced me a lot around that time period. So I'm really glad to get to know everybody, at the Paradise Alley shows. Getting away from that, what else do you watch in professional wrestling? What do you invest in currently?
I was watching WWE for like 30 years. That must have been a sign not to talk about WWE. WWE years. I was watching WCW from the 80s to the time it closed. I watched some of ECW. Right now, I watch AEW because it's the alternative option. And then I watch WWE off and on. But WWE, I mean, to me now, is just for the kids, and it's a Disney company. Nothing wrong with that because they're making a ton of money. So it's like, why not? They need billions of dollars. Why are they gonna sit here and accommodate to me or you? You know what I'm saying? I fully understand. People, I listen. I read the dirt sheets all the time. I see the fans comment on YouTube. I see every fan complain about what WWE is doing. If it's not for you, it's not for you. They're not going to improve for you. They're making billions of dollars. So it's no sense in mad and pissed and trying to boycott a company that's making billions of dollars. They're not going to get $1 billion for me, for you, or anybody else. AEW, they're just starting out. They're doing great things. There's certain things that they do, but the thing is, they're a young company. And people get mad with them and say, oh, well, they didn't do this focus match well, or they do this, they didn't shoot this well, or whatever. It's a new company.
Right.
5 or 6 years, 7 years, and then flip out. These guys started a year and a half ago. Why are you getting mad? There's no sense getting mad, but, it's just,
when I first turned it on, I'm sorry. When I first turned it on, basically the first few months, I'm like, they got a lot of kinks to work out. It's a new company. It's greatly improved, but there's still some kinks that need to be worked out. They seem to be, for lack of a better term, like a super indie kind of. They hired every guy, bigger indie guy that was on the indie scene, basically, and some guys from Japan, etc., etc. They basically picked from wherever. And so they did the right thing, by putting the right stars where they're supposed to be. The Bucks are huge in Japan. Omega was huge in Japan. So they're trying to bring that group over. Do I always enjoy them? Not really. I do enjoy them sometimes, though. It's great to see that they have their programs like Dark and Elevation. You get to see certain guys on there. Sometimes they get a little carried away with the goofy stuff sometimes, and that's just not but it's like they try to do a little bit too much variety, but it's not for everybody.
No, I fully understand you, but you gotta recognize this too. WCW got hot because they put a lot of variety on. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So, like, you gotta have your cruiserweight. Well, AEW don't got cruiserweights, but like they got to mix the talent where different variety is not where it's WWE where they're working at the same pace, that same pace, the same match, the same commercial break, or we got to commercial, whatever. It's like what you see on AEW is organic, like Monday Nitro was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Tony Khan when he faced us. He was a Nitro guy. I was a Nitro guy. I loved all the live and the pyro and starting off the show hot with a bat and all that stuff. WWE, same thing for the last 20 years with a 15-minute promo to set up that match within 30 minutes.
I'm so glad you said that, because I say that every time I watch Monday Night Raw, if I ever watch it, which is rare these days, but it's like every time you tune in, there's somebody cuts a promo that's going to set up the main event, and it goes on for about 15, 20 minutes. You're lucky if it's 15, 20 minutes, because it could go to a half hour sometimes.
And then they do a promo that sets up a match for the next segment. I'm like, okay, you could just start the segment with the match and just put the match start up. Okay, we are start off Raw match right now. Bam, introduce all stuff. No, they'll Nia Jax go in there and cut a 30-minute promo to set up a tag match. And I'm sitting there like, you could just hit the pyro, put the music, and it started in it. And I'm like, really? Yeah. I was like, so you can just sit here and just off the rim, start off the match, do the pyro, have the wrestlers in the ring if they don't want to cut time on the interview. And that's it. You sit here doing extra stuff. You can do a promo. But then you got to understand too, they're trying to kill time. Because now they got 3 hours. And they're making bank off the 3 hours. So now,
yes, they've been given that third hour. It's the same formula that they've been doing for like 20 some odd years. They pretty much. It's kind of just stale. I mean, don't get me wrong. The talent that they have there is amazing. There's a reason why they're in the WWE. Because it's an amazing, like they've got talent for the most part. But it's just. It's just sometimes mind numbing to watch, I guess, you know what I mean? Being the same thing over and over. But, I have to tune away. But there is a lot of great guys that I try to tune in for. I mean, I think, honestly, 3 years ago when Drew McIntyre returned to WWE before he was even the title picture, I was like, this guy really came into his own. He went through the indies again, Impact, Evolve, and got re-signed to WWE. I said that guy's going to be the champion very soon. A year and a half, almost 2 years later, he was champion and the head of the company, basically, which I thought was pretty freaking amazing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they did something right.
But yeah, people like him, when he came back, I already called it. This was way before him. I was like, this is really people are different because he done went out and like he done went out and became a star and then come back and look better, body wise, coffee, all that.
Yellow tank eyes, beautiful.
So he's like, he went out and bettered himself.
Mm-hmm.
And AJ Styles, like, he was already good outside. But when he came in, they needed talent like him to come in and make the product even better.
At
But
that time.
now, you know what I'm saying? He's a symbol now. No, like, he ain't doing nothing now but doing the tag thing with Omar. So it's like, but what's happening is they're at the age right now where they did all that work. So now they're just collecting money. They still are good. They're collecting.
He's been working for 20 some odd years, starting in Georgia Indies and NWA Wildside, and worked TNA for years, New Japan. He basically went to WWE, like you said, for the money. Like, it was the only place he hadn't really worked. He didn't really need to go there, but you know.
He did not need to go there for one, but he did. This was before AEW was even an idea, but he went there and improved the product.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing going on before he even got there, and then when he got there, you had all sorts of team matchups that was happening between him and Jericho, you know, him and Roman Reigns and all this stuff. And you're like, okay, now it's fresh. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, people like Nakamura or them, they're just cruising right now.
Yeah.
Nakamura,
like you said.
He's like vacation time there. He's not doing that hard now. And you know, it's just like, they tell you already, like, it's a vacation. They just cruising right now.
Yeah,
they don't
you're
want
right.
They really don't want to go back. I mean, if they do, they probably go to AEW, but they know they're going to put in the work again. I mean, it's probably the same amount of money, hopefully, but like, they're going to really like perform. They can't do the same thing they do every day at WWE, where they go to the house shows and they do the same thing every house show. They're going to go out there and put in work. Not saying that they don't want it, but that's what's going to end up happening, you know?
Do you see that happening a lot with talent when they finally do make their WWE appearance? That they're in it's in the money mode and they're basically cruising, like you said. Because I've noticed that it's like once somebody gets to WWE, they're not putting on the 5-star classics, like say in Japan or on the indies that they were putting on, such as an AJ style. I mean, maybe in this period, maybe not years ago, but
it's not a put in the work. You know what it is? It's the fact that it's the WWE pace. So
it's a slower pace.
Like I got an example right here. Like AJ Styles, you remember when AJ Styles used to do the backflip DDT?
Yeah.
So if you notice in the first few times when he was in WWE, when he was doing it, he tried to do it on people like Sheamus and all them, and he was like, he couldn't connect it right. You don't need to connect it on. You can connect it on Sheamus or, you know, Roman Reigns. So he had to take all that stuff that he used to do to Samoa Joe and Austin Aries and all these people and tone all that stuff down. But he did learn some stuff from Kurt Angle when he came on the TNA because, you know, you noticed that he down his pace. Yeah, he started slowing down his pace. So it's not that. I think they're all hungry when they get there, but they fully understand that WWE is a showbiz company. It's not a wrestling company.
Absolutely. Yes.
Entertainment. They say it all the time. Sports entertainment. So basically, they're going in there just to do their 10 minutes of being a superstar. That's it. So more and all them, they understand that, and I'm sure, you know, people like Anthony Green and all them and Casanova at that time, I'm not saying that they're not going to stop the hard work. They can still do the hard work, but they will understand too, like, okay, this is sports entertainment. I don't have to do all that. And then
I think, yes, I think when some of those guys are still down in NXT, so it's like they're still doing that hard work, so to speak, before they get called up to the main roster. That's when like the main roster is kind of like the entertainment part, the more so entertainment part, you know, because the NXT part is basically that's where they hire the guys off the indies or internationally and they get them to work their style. But they're definitely putting on some 5-star classics. Look at Joe and Nakamura were fucking killing it, pardon my language, in NXT, and you know, these guys were all doing all that kind of stuff. So Yeah, it's like once they go to NXT, it's like they do these great matches. I'm sorry, and then once the main roster, it just relaxes. Like I thought Joe, I was like so happy to see him on NXT. And I was like, I can't wait. I was like, I'm so happy. You know what I mean? I've been watching this guy for years, and then he goes to the main roster, and it's like that feud he had with Mysterio was kind of boring. You know what I mean? It's like or stuff like that. You know, it's like Nakamura was awesome in NXT, and then he gets up and it's just he's the relaxed, the cruising style. It's not what it was, you know. So then you don't look forward to watching like stuff like Raw or SmackDown. But I even think that NXT is starting to take a step back ever since they got the cable TV as well.
Well, yeah, they're starting to take a step back because they got the TV deal now, so they got 2 hours to fill. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? People complain a lot, but the thing is they don't understand the behind politics. You know what I'm saying? Like when a TV company or TV network gives you $1 billion to fill up 3 hours, what you gonna? And I mean, it's not one.
You answer them. You got to answer to advertisers. You got to answer to the network. You can't do certain things, so that's why you're going to have a 15-minute match with a commercial break in the middle or two, and then the next thing you know, that's the first half-hour segment or so. So, I mean, you know, I just don't want them to tone down somebody like Karrion Kross, excuse me. You know what I mean? Because that guy, even in Impact, I was like, that guy is going to be a huge star someday. What happens? Impact said they couldn't pay him enough, so he left. Because he basically had to have a day job, he said. Yeah. He ends up in NXT. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. I was like, this is great for him. And then, you know, next thing you know, obviously he's going to be coming to the main roster relatively soon, from what I understand.
Yeah, but that's the problem though. Like, you think these guys are gonna be stars when they get on the main roster, but the thing is, you can't blame.
Just get lost.
Yeah, you can't blame the star. You gotta blame the writer.
Yes.
The writer.
Well, there's that too.
You gotta blame the writers, and you gotta blame the man in charge. At the end of the day, he may not watch NXT on the regular. He may see this guy just came up to the main roster and like, oh wow, like this Killer Cross, he got that size. Like, why you name Killer Cross? And this is like, well, they probably he's like, oh well, you know, I got this idea for you in my mind. So you gotta understand, like NXT, he probably was like, oh well, these come from developmental. You know, and maybe the writers probably watch NXT and they probably want to continue it, and then he'd be like, no, we're not doing it. So it's different scenarios. Everybody thinks they know the story, but then like you're not in the office, you're not in the four walls to say, oh well, you know, maybe the writers want to do that. Right. The writers want to do it and bring them over and keep that going. And then Vince probably like, nah, that don't work for me. You know, it's everything involved that works. It kind of annoys me sometimes because I do watch NXT, and it does get annoying where somebody's hot on NXT and then they go to the main roster, they get seen down. You're like, wait, hold up, like how that work here? But that just goes just like when WCW was in charge, you have somebody hot that's in WCW and then they come to WWE, they're not hot because they came from WCW. The politics.
Right. WWE did that on purpose to a lot of people that came from the other company. It was them being bitter. Whereas when they went to the other company, when it was vice versa, WCW would most of the time shoot them up to the top. Most of the time, not always, but you know, because they
really good. Like somebody like Ric Flair, like you would think that in '92 they would have buried him, but they couldn't bury somebody like Ric Flair. But they could try to.
I mean, the guy's history, and he'd only been 15 years or so into the business when he came in, maybe a little bit longer, give or take a few. Maybe it was closer to 20 because I think he debuted in '72. When he came in, there was like, you can't. The guy's history before that as NWA champion, his whole entire history, you can't ignore it. It might not have delivered the way it probably should have as a form, like basically already first ballot Hall of Famer type guy, you know, but it just didn't pan out. You know what I mean? The way that it probably should have. But he still had some pretty decent storylines in WWE style, like with them. That's
just like put him in a folk side, but you try to embarrass him, but you couldn't embarrass him. So he's that person. And everybody So like you try, like for instance, this is a prime example, modern example. AJ Styles, go back there. He came back, he did a Rumble, he got popular. They had him lose Jericho at WrestleMania to test him out. That was one. That was test. He said after that, he won the 4-way the next day to face Roman Reigns. So how you lose a WrestleMania match and win the 4-way the next night to go against Roman Reigns? You still win at Mania and then go to Roman Reigns. Yeah,
right.
He got Ellsworth. Like any other person would say, no, I'm not doing it. AJ Styles. You can't tell me that they were how his ego was. You know what I'm saying? So, and then saw that they gave him his long title run for over a year. You know, and the only reason he doesn't have the title now is because he said that he wants to take some time off. He don't want that rush no more like that.
Right.
So it's just like they'll try to test you and see how your ego is. And if you got an ego, they will not take you, no matter what company or where you came from. You know, it's just a WWE bubble. I mean, I respect it because some people do come in with egos. You know what I'm saying? So in a certain time, you can't just bury everybody.
Right. Everybody. They need stars. They're having trouble building stars, even though they've got a lot of stars that could be huge stars. It's just, you know, they're not really necessarily pushing them to that mainstream level, which I think that, you know, some of those guys really can be, but for some reason, from what I understand, they don't want to build stars outside because they keep losing their stars, like guys like Cena and Rock, to Hollywood. So now they don't want to build guys to get to that level.
Okay, you answered your own. You answered the golden question. You were saying the same thing that I was saying for you. They don't want nobody to be bigger than the company.
Right.
They want. You notice they don't say, well, Hulk Hogan or, you know, whatever. Back in the day, they say, oh, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, all these people going to be there. It's about WWE. WWE is cool. And you know, oh, well, it's Hulk Hogan and WWE. It's not John Cena or WWE. It's just WWE and the stars. They don't want you to get anybody. You're going to leave. You're going to leave. They don't want you to leave.
You get the same show every time, basically, when you go to a house. Or actually, they didn't have shows, but they're coming back. But you know what I mean. They basically have the same show every week. There's no freshness. They need to change up the roster, I guess. Change up the television show because realize it's probably the same 12 people every episode, or every week, I should say, per show. So it's like, would you want to see the same 12 people every week?
Well, this is now because going in front of a crowd now. You know, usually in Thunderdome in that bubble and everything going on. Now they're gonna be in front of crowds now where big guys they can't do this Alexa Bliss and all that stuff. They gotta step up because that live crowd will chew them up. Like, I do not want to watch this. I do not want to watch it.
Right. That's right. Yeah, you're right. What do you, before we get back to some other stuff, Paradise stuff and yourself, what do you think, I want to ask you, what do you think of the Thunderdome over last year? Or it hasn't even been a year really for the Thunderdome, but during the pandemic they created the Thunderdome, and what do you think about them returning to live shows?
I liked the Thunderdome because it was like a TV show, right? Wheel of Fortune type vibe, where you're like, oh, it's fun. But I think it helps for them when they go to the live crowd because those people want to be there live instead of being behind the scenes. So I think it's really good for both companies to see AEW so everybody's looking for that entertainment and getting tired of being behind the scenes and just like, oh, well, you know, I'm waiting on the scene here. Wow. No, they want to be there live to see it live. So it's a very big deal, and I hope it all works out. I heard the tickets are selling well for some of them. So, you know, it's just like, I hope it does well for AEW too. I heard it's kind of slow on their end as well. But that's just the thing. I'm not saying I'm looking at the tickets, but, you know, hopefully, I hope, you know, the wrestling business it's not booming like it was in the Attitude Era or in the actual days. But at the end of the day, like, it's good for the workers. It's good for the workers.
Sorry, you broke up for a second.
Sorry, I said it's good for the workers now, so more work for the workers.
You're right. Yeah. I think that it's, I don't know. I mean, wrestling in general was huge prior to the pandemic. The only thing that lasted through the pandemic, all sports were canceled. You still had professional wrestling on TV, which was actually a really good thing, I thought. I was excited. You know, you guys booked a couple shows when you were allowed to. So that was a lot of fun. Basically, tell me what else is coming up for Marcel Williams in the future and you in general and Paradise Alley, your wrestling career and you working with Paradise Alley.
Well, you got this match coming up, I guess, with Vlad, I guess, and then July 17th. And then after that, I may enter the Rumble in Paradise, and then they got the big Mania 5 event coming up on September 25th. I'm looking forward to the Rumble in Paradise for the first time out of the training facility since the pandemic happened. So that's a
great building.
That's a great, beautiful building. So I'm hoping that turns out to be real great for that. Yeah, things are going on. I'm trying to like branch out more. It just depends. It depends on my environment, not the environment, but my environment. Sometimes I'll be off and on. I'll be like, I may want to keep doing this and now. Then I get the itch and start watching it. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to do that. You do it again. It's just like, you know, if I was really put my head into it, I probably would have made it from there. But I just be taking breaks to like, oh yeah, you know. I love it though.
I love professional wrestling. Like, I don't really know much about the, you know, I understand it, business side. I'm still ultimately a gigantic fan. You know, are you going to be at Emergence? Was it July 17th? Are you going to be there?
I know Vlad challenged me to that date, so I guess I'm going to accept it, especially I think what he did. So, you probably see me versus Vlad July 17th.
All right. And before we wrap it up, where could everybody find you on social media?
Social media, you find me on Facebook, Marcel Williams. You find me at Twitter and Instagram at Showtime Marcel. And you find me as well under Marcel Williams. I got some videos on there if you want to look at my past stuff and some current stuff.
All right. I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll see you at Emergence.